Welcome back to the PTSD Princess Podcast. I'm Jerica Rose, your host. I survived homelessness, sexual and verbal abuse. I'm here to guide you through your healing, growth, and reclaiming your self-love. So let's dive in.
My name is Jerica Rose, the host of PTSD Princess Podcast. I have my good friend with me, PJ Aubrey. She is a mental health advocate. I found her online. She's so beautiful. I love her smile. And she has a great spirit. So we're going to get into it. And she's going to give a little intro background about herself. So let's do it.
Thanks, Jerica. Well, my name is PJ Aubrey, like she said. I graduated with my psychology degree from Brigham Young University about 5 years ago. And I have since started the mental health podcast, A Survivor's Guide to Hell, where I host. And I'm really happy to be here.
Awesome. And you say you're from Utah?
That's right.
Okay. Are you still there now?
Actually, right now, I'm in the middle of nowhere in Mississippi. That's where I live.
Mississippi. Is that kind of like country or is it like...
Yes, it's very, very country. And I love that about it. But I am in the sticks. So 30 minutes from the closest Walmart, that kind of thing.
Nice.
Chickens
I'm pretty sure. Yeah. I'm pretty sure it's more than the loud city, because if I can go back down south, I definitely would. Like, the city is a lot.
Yeah, I agree. The city is a lot. I feel like there's a lot of people who are kind of craving the quiet life these days.
Yeah. So what do you do now? Or what is your life like now?
Well, right now, my husband and I were both trying to start our own businesses. So I've been in voiceover for a few years, actually. Since I started the podcast, I started doing some voiceover stuff. I recently did a national commercial for Carvana, so that was kind of exciting. And of course, like I mentioned, I produce and host the Survivor's Guide to Hell podcast, which is, designed to help the average Joe with, the typical mental health problems that most of us encounter on a frequent basis.
Okay. So we're definitely going to link the show notes for my peoples so they can tune into that too. And do you have any challenges that you faced or that you got through life that you want to share with the audience?
Sure. So it's so hard to think of, what challenge has changed your life, because everybody has challenges every day, right? But I would say myself and my family encountered some pretty big surprises, some pretty big trials in 2020. And I know a lot of people did, because that was, COVID time, right? So my husband lost his job that year. Soon after losing his job, he started having stroke symptoms, which was really weird because he's really young to have a stroke. So we didn't have a job. We were worried that he was gonna, survive the year, basically. And there were so many crazy things happening. So during this time was when I started to see the need for more mental health, because COVID had not only created a bunch of personal issues for people, like, losing their jobs and feeling isolated, but it was also turning people against each other. It was very polarizing, like mask people and no mask people, and people and not vaccine people.
And in public, like, you can't sit too close to me. Like, oh my gosh.
Yeah, it was insane. Like, people were really married to their opinions at this time. And they still are. But it seemed like a really important time for me to go back to, my psychology background, so I could be a little more healthy. Because, I was worried my husband might be dying. And also, we didn't have an income. That was a bummer. But everybody seemed to be kind of at each other's throats. And it seemed like the best antidote, would be an increase in mental health. So that's why I started the podcast, and that's actually changed the trajectory of my family's future. We don't have the same jobs anymore because of it. We have more meaningful careers that we chose ourselves. I guess I learned that when life shakes things up, it gives you the chance to put the pieces back in a better way than they were before. So
Yeah.
that's my spiel. Yeah.
Yeah. True. Because I know like during the pandemic, a lot of people had to literally slow down. Like it taught
Mm-hmm.
people to slow down and realize what's really you need to focus on. Like I understand people need to go to work and make money. But at the same
Yeah.
time, it's like, really, how are we gonna do that if we can't even do it with our mind?
Yeah, it's true.
In 2020, I was in the shelter for 5 months, you know? So,
Wow.
yeah, that was the turnaround in my life. And like I said, I've learned a lot. I've done a lot in that shelter, and it wasn't no normal shelter. Like we still had to go to work. We still had to wash our own clothes. We still had to make sure our kids were good. Like we had our own privacy, but it's like, thank you for sharing that story because 2020 was a breakthrough.
It was a breakthrough. And you know what? I feel like my story is crazy, but I cannot imagine what it'd be like to be in a shelter that year, especially. Like, all the guidelines you're supposed to follow and no one knowing what to do with their life, basically. That must have been crazy.
It was. And like I said, me and my son, like we literally just had to be like this. Like it's just me and you.
Yeah. You two against the
Yeah.
world, probably.
Yeah. So it's like, even though a lot of strangers were there to help me, with rides and all that stuff, just for me to be able to get to A to B and just keep my mental straight. Like I'm so blessed from that situation. And I don't, recommend you just like going to the shelter, but it's like,
Yeah.
it's like those resources really could help you if you use them in the right way while you're there.
Right. Yeah. But I'm sure it's not a vacation
Right,
at all.
right. So is there like a
Well,
tip or a tool you want to share with the audience?
well, something else I learned, and I'm curious if you also had a similar experience. So let me know.
Go ahead.
But I rediscovered a philosophy that a lot of really smart people before me have already talked about. And that is that it's important to look for meaning. More important even than looking for happiness. Because happiness comes and goes. We don't really have control. Like our freedom can be taken away unexpectedly, whether that's from corrupt politicians or from disease or from bad finances. Like anything could happen that removes your sense of happiness. So happiness is a bonus, but something that can't be taken away from you is your sense of meaning. You can find meaning no matter what situation you're in, whether it's a concentration camp in Nazi Germany or a shelter, during 2020. So that would be my number one tip right now. And it's really broad. I know it's hard to know where to start when it comes to looking for meaning, but any listeners that might be in a tough position, it's okay to not always be happy. Happy really is a bonus. But if you're feeling tested to your wit's end, look for meaning instead, because I guarantee it's there. That's my tip. What do you think about that?
Amen. Like what? You're talking to me right now.
Thank you.
I that tip as well because like when you say meaning, I think of it as like I hear purpose. Like
Yeah, those are
there's
often interchangeable. Yeah.
like there's different walks of life, but when you walk with a purpose, it's like okay, the happiness will just kind of flow. So
Mm-hmm.
yeah,
And
yeah, I get it.
I think for anyone who might be listening that's looking for where to start when it comes to meaning, I think it's good to list some ideas, because that is a really ambiguous term sometimes. Like, what does meaning even mean? But I know a lot of people find it with their religion. Like, they feel like there is a deity that loves them and is helping to purify them and guide them towards a better self or a better life. So that's a way a lot of people find meaning. some people have goals, like I want to be the best mom ever, or I want to achieve this career, and all of this hardship is okay because I'm still moving towards that purpose. Or,
Right.
they see a problem in the world, kind of like I was talking about 2020, people were really against each other, and you can find meaning in trying to fix the problem, or at least help move towards a solution. So, yeah, if anyone's wondering, like, where would I start if I feel meaningless? Those are some common ways that people discover it.
Yeah, definitely. And I had to literally be in isolation for a while. I journaled a lot, and I found music healing too for me, during that time as well, like COVID. It's just like I had to find something that was going to keep me going if I can't really talk to people.
Yeah, it's amazing how easy it is to reappreciate music when times are hard. Because I like music any day, but when I'm really suffering, it's crazy. Like, music comes back to life. Like I'm a teenager again. It's cool.
Yeah. Like what? It feels like I'm in 8th grade in this.
That's right. Isn't that funny?
You have a favorite artist?
Oh gosh, that's so hard. I like a lot of different kinds of music. And a popular one I like is AJR. He actually talks a lot about mental health. A less popular one is Dan Andriano and The Emergency Room. They're kind of niche, but they kind of focus on mental health too. I guess there's a theme here. So, what about you?
Recently, I've been tapping into like Savannah Hanover, Savannah Christina, like Queen Herbie. Music that has been like more of uplifting and feeling like you're that bitch, that type of music.
You'll have to message me some of their songs so I can check them out.
Yeah. Because don't get me wrong, like I love me some pop music too, like Katy Perry, Iggy Azalea, especially during the, younger days.
Yeah, it's true. But they'll always be on.
Yeah. So remind me, do you have kids or no?
I do have kids. I have a little 5-year-old. He just turned 5, so I have to stop and think about how old he is. I have a 5-year-old and a 6-year-old boy, and I have a daughter. She's technically my stepdaughter, and she's in college. So kind of a gap. Got a little bit of everything.
Yeah, same. My son, he just turned 10, and then my daughter, she'll be 3 in January. So it's like my patience is like.
Yeah. I think the polite way to say that is you have a lot of fun challenges that you're facing. Yeah, 3
Definitely.
and 10. Those are very different.
Yeah. All right. Well, this was good. We definitely have to keep it up more. I know this was really kind of speedy, but I want to make it really fun and short for my people, just so they can. Yeah.
Some bite-sized goodness.
Yeah, short and sweet and juicy. So one last thing, where can people find you?
Well, you can find my podcast. You can just Google A Survivor's Guide to Hell, or if you want the link, it's www.pjvoiceover.com/SGH. But it's probably easier just to Google A Survivor's Guide to Hell. And then you can listen to me talk about mental health if that's your thing.
All right. Any social media platforms they can find you, just in case, direct contact?
We're on Facebook. You can contact us on our website. There's a contact form, and I'm trying to do the Instagram thing and the YouTube thing, but it is not my skill, so it might not be the best. We're getting there.
No worries. Well, this was beautiful, and I hope you guys enjoyed this wonderful episode. So stay tuned for more.